moving on to Keegan Murray.
I mean, A, right?
I mean, I think for second half, I think it's got to be an A because we gave him an A minus in the first half, and I think all the things that he needed to grow upon, he showed growth at. So I think an A, and obviously we're talking about the playoffs. We're talking about how much that playoff showing is going to do for him next year, and there's extra high hopes. Not only is he a first team All Rookie, but he could be he could really make a substantial jump in year two. I think it's pretty easy to give him an A, especially
Yeah.
like standing up as a rookie and remaining confident, remaining poised. Just kept growing. So what more is there to ask for? I feel like his
Yeah.
second half was almost better in that regard with growth than that first half, which is exactly what you want. You
Hmm.
know, that's when it should start to accelerate.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And he had after those first two games in the playoffs too, he was super good, super effective. Yeah, he deserves it.
I mean, he was the only one that shot over 36% in the playoffs,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
which is that really does paint a pretty big reason why the team as a whole struggled. But Murray did his part from beyond the arc as much as you could ask.
Hmm.
And then just the jumps and being able to rebound. You've seen defensive growth with the ball in his hands. Hopefully, all of that is just multiplied.
Yeah,
But yeah, he was terrific. I think this was one of the like this is a good positional group just with Murray and going on to the next fellow. But I mean, I guess an A minus and A. What do you think? A minus or A for the final grade?
I just think an A. All rookie first team, hit 200 threes, shot like
Yeah,
41 from three. I mean, that's it. That's all you can ask for from a rookie, and he did
yeah. It's probably
exactly that.
more than they. It's probably more than we could ask for. Honestly,
Exactly.
yeah. I think you're right.
So I think he just gets an A. He was
Mm-hmm.
awesome.
And Trey Lyles, we gave him an A minus in the first half. I think that was kind of a no brainer in terms of consistency on both ends of the floor as a bench player. He seemed like the guy, not necessarily the best bench player, but most consistent, most reliable, star in his role type guy. I think the only thing that really changed in the second half was his 3-point percentage. But even then, I mean, he still shot 36% in the post All Star, which goes right into it. So that initial impression that I had, like based on the eye test of like, yeah, his threes weren't falling at the same clip in the second or in the post All Star break. Well, they did. So I think, and he's always been one of the smarter players in terms of squeezing into where he needs to go. One of the most consistent rebounders, has a great body for boxing people out. I mean, it just seems like a no brainer to go A minus again, right?
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I mean, Lyles was so good. He was one of the key players off the bench. Even not always put up. He wasn't like the highest scorer. That was Monk or off the bench, I guess. Or I mean, he grabbed rebounds very well. He's kind of like I don't know. He was just awesome. I love Lyles, and
Yeah.
I mean, we'll probably get more into it later, maybe in another podcast. But I mean, you have to resign that guy. You have to.
And he's got early bird rights, so that definitely helps the Kings' cause. And I think the fact that Trey Lyles is a journeyman, and he's said it himself, he's never felt so close to a group, he's never felt so at home in the NBA. And he's a guy, that's bounced around, and he must have had, and that can't be easy, you know, coming
Mm-hmm.
into the league and just like coming in as a young guy, coming out of that a very successful program, and then like going to Utah and never really getting footing. Eventually he went to, after I think a trip in Denver, he went to San Antonio. It kind of looked like maybe he'd be able to carve something out, but then San Antonio didn't want to keep him. He signs with Detroit. Detroit trades him. And it's just like, well, now I'm in Sacramento. And everything worked out great.
Yeah.
And we saw it last season. It's just like, man, like, even with DiVincenzo there, he still felt like by the end of the season last year that he was the second best pickup at the trade deadline. And I mean, after the season he put in, that trade deadline that McNair pulled off last year looks like incredible.
Yeah.
And Trey Lyles is just the exact guy you want coming off your bench. And smart, close with the guys, does a bunch of different things. We'll call him the MCP of the bench, the most consistent player of the bench.
I
Uh, he's another guy I have a soft spot for.
love Lyles. So does he get an A minus on the year as well?
Yeah, A minus all the way around.
I think so. He was fantastic.